Canada comes away with a very respectable and very impressive 0-0 draw end result against one of the world's best international footballing sides in Colombia. And yes, Colombia didn't play their best side. They didn't play their best lineup available to them. But they played some strong players, some incredible footballers. One of the best attackers in the world right now in Luis Diaz, as well as, of course, Cucho Hernandez, Richard Rios, Quintero, some of their best defenders in Davinson Sanchez, John Lucimi, and Mojica. They were expected for more rotation, but they went with a very strong lineup. Yes, there was no Munoz. Yes, there was no Jefferson Lerma. There was no Jasper Asprilla, but we saw James Rodriguez came on at halftime to try and change this game, to change the face of it. But Canada was strong. Canada was resilient, and this was a very impressive performance from the Canadian men's national team, and one I am very proud of. A 0-0 result against Colombia is very impressive. This was a side that had their backup back line. There was no Alphonso Davies, no Alistair Johnston, no Moise Bombito. There was a inexperienced Luc de Fougerolles, a young Nico Seeger coming off the back of a major mistake against Australia. There were worries around this backline and how they would cope against a strong, exciting, fast, attacking, and skillful Colombian side. But they stood strong. They were resilient. They bent but didn't break. This was a very good defensive performance from this Canadian men's national team. And how they pressed with that two-man midfield was very impressive. Very fun to watch. And it showed that it can work against some of the world's best. It can work against some of the best national teams in the world, especially in transition, and when the game gets open, that two-man midfield can work very well. All they need to work on is get tidier in possession, hold on to the ball better, work better in possession between Ismael Kone and Stephen Eustáquio. That's going to come. The tidiness, the neatness will come. But the fact the pressing worked, the fact that the defensive line held strong, only limited Colombia to one major chance throughout 80 minutes. Yes, the pressure came on. They had a few big chances throughout added time and later in that full time and football match. But they never found the back of the net. They never hit the target with a true major chance. Luis Diaz missed a major chance later in that second half, as well as a few others. Richie Laryea made a game-winning challenge. Canada held on strong. Canada defended with their lives at times, but they played very well. There were going to be waves. There were going to be momentum swings. And Canada even had moments of holding onto the ball, holding on to possession, and even times where they could have created chances. There were half chances for the Canadian men's national team, and one that even saw a goal ruled out for Canada. I'm not saying it stood or stood because we don't know, and there was no VAR, so that doesn't matter. But this was an impressive performance from Canada, and the way Canada was able to play through the waves of this game, play through momentum swings. And yes, there was going to be times where Colombia dominated possession, looked to create chances. But Canada continued to grow into the game. Canada continued to grow stronger throughout this match. Early on in that game, Colombia looked strong. They were playing through the press. They were playing through with ease. And then Canada built into the game. Canada got stronger. The press got stronger. The press got more intricate. They found their triggers. And they were able to win the ball higher up the pitch. And when Canada looked more dangerous was when they were winning the ball off the press in transition. The first few seconds after winning that ball off the press, there were chances, there were opportunities, but what Canada struggled with was the intricate work and the intricate passes in the final third. It wasn't there from Ismael Kone. It was lacking from Ali Ahmed and Jonathan David. Tajon Buchanan couldn't find his feet in the final third. That wasn't there. There were still half chances, but Canada was strong in the press, Canada was strong in the build-up, but lacked the intricate work in the final third, and that will come. But what mattered was how strong that backline was against Colombia, that the press worked, that the midfield too worked. It was all very exciting. And what was we were looking for? What was the key point from Canadians? was the performance. And boy, did Canada ever have a good performance. You can be proud to be Canadian with how well we played against Colombia. We didn't get dismantled like L3 and Mexico did against a heavily rotated Colombian side. Canada held strong, Canada was resilient, and was very good defensively, especially on set pieces where they needed to be against Colombia. And yes, this was going to be a physical game. That didn't shock me that this was a physical game. Both teams played with pride. Both teams played physical. But what was exciting, what was good to see, was both teams shook each other's hands at the end of the game. There were no fisticuffs. There were no grabbing jerseys. There were no pushing each other with two hands. There was no over-the-top physicality like Canada saw against Australia. Canada and Colombia were very respectful to each other. They had a physical game throughout the 90 minutes. After the game, shook hands and were respectful to one another, which was incredible to watch. And I'm very proud of how Canada played against Colombia and vice versa. Both teams should be. And yes, Canada didn't see Colombia's best team. Colombia didn't play their best football. But in partial, that is down to how well Canada played as well. Colombia, of course, were rotating things, didn't play their best team. They were always going to be a little bit off chemistry-wise, playing with different players, rotating, trying to get the feel, playing with each other. As well as the same side, Canada was rotated as well. They're playing a different back line, a backup back line that's still getting used to each other, pressing game against a big nation, against a top nation, and I think it worked both ways. It was counterparts. Colombia was a bit off, not playing their best game today due to rotation, as well as getting into trying to get the feel of how they're going to play with different players, as well as Canada neutralized their strong points, their best characteristics, and how they want to play. So I think both go for each other hand in hand. Canada played very strong, which neutralized Colombia as well as they neutralized themselves a little bit. Both can go hand in hand. It was a very respectable, a very good performance from Canada, and Colombia, of course, didn't see their best team, didn't see their best performance, and that will come. But what Colombia will have will be a team that goes deep in the World Cup, will be a team that can possibly challenge for the World Cup, a side that is very underappreciated worldwide, a side that deserves a lot more respect worldwide, especially in Europe. I think they're going to wake up a lot of teams worldwide at the World Cup, and it's very good to see how Canada rose to the occasion against a rotated but still a very strong Colombian side. And before jumping into the match rating, guys, make sure to drop down below, smash that sub button, hit that like button, let me know your comments down below on the game, your summary, your match ratings in the comments down below. And I have to say, cheers to the Colombian supporters. Your respect in the comments, your respect to the video and the match preview was incredible, and I truly appreciate that. Colombian supporters are just like their players. Were very respectable throughout the 90 and respectable after the game. Your respect in the comments was incredible, and I truly appreciate it. And I hope you guys are back for a match reaction and continue to support the channel as well as just support the Canadian men's national team, because you guys gained a supporter in myself, as I will be supporting Colombia throughout the World Cup as well as my team in South America, because you guys' support was absolutely incredible and respectful in the comments. I hope to see that go both ways. But let's jump straight into the match ratings, because this was a very fun game from a Canadian perspective. Yes, it'll be disappointing from a Colombian's perspective, but this was a lot more enjoyable, entertaining, and fun to watch compared to that Australia match. This was a side in Colombia who gave a different look, who were going to come out, be skillful, be entertaining, be fun to watch, compared to an Australia team who are going to sit back, try to do whatever they can to not concede, and try to capitalize on an error. I can tell you who I'd rather lose to, and it is Colombia. So this was a fun, more entertaining, and more enjoyable game to watch as a whole. And let's jump straight into the match ratings. Start with Dayne St. Clair. Dayne St. Clair for me is getting a 6.5. Just above an average. Didn't have a lot to do, but when he did, he was very strong. Came out, commanded his box very well, strong on crosses, strong on corners, was very strong on them. And his positioning was very strong. The Luis Diaz chance closed the angle down well, made it very acute for Luis Diaz, who had to try to very much stay put in the corner, which is why he missed and looked so distraught when he did not hit the target. Besides that, Dane St. Clair didn't have a whole host of things to do. Made one save on Jasper Asprilla, his really only opportunity and only save of the game. Besides that, Colombia had some big chances, but just missed the target. So Dane St. Clair is getting a 6.5, just above an average for me. Nico Sigor gets a 7.5 from me. He was very strong on the day. A very impressive performance from Nico Sigor, who is coming off and very poor performance against Australia, the mistake that led to the goal from Nestor Irankunda and the 1-0 win for Australia. But what does Nico Sigor do? When coming up against one of the world's best attackers, he rises to the occasion. He has a very strong performance. Doesn't let Luis Diaz get the best of him on too many occasions. Was very strong, was very physical with Luis Diaz, and didn't get exposed that much this game. That's why he's getting a 7.5 from me. He's very strong, had a good performance, was neat and tidy in build-up, wasn't sloppy with the ball, and also gave some options on the overlap as well. Moving on to Luc de Fougerolles, who I thought was incredible. 7.5 match rating for me, the same as Nico Sigor. These are two defenders that people were worried, people were nervous, people didn't know what to expect against a Cucho Hernandez, Quintero, James Rodriguez, and Luis Diaz front line. And that's fair. Luc de Fougerolles and Nico Sigor are relatively inexperienced in this Canadian back line. And what happened? Luc de Fougerolles was incredible. Winning aerial balls, stepping, being so confident that he was able to dribble the ball out of the back line and break lines, which was very impressive to see. So Luc de Fougerolles is getting a 7.5 match rating for a very impressive performance. And Derek Cornelius, for me, will get a 7. I thought he was very tidy, very smart, very good in the air, and very smart in his pressing as well. But Richie Laryea is the topic of the back line. Got an early yellow, but for me, if there's VAR, he gets sent off for his tackle on Richard Rios. He got extremely lucky he didn't get a second yellow. If there's VAR, you see him clearly stick out and leave a trailing leg on Richard Rios, and he would have gotten sent off. But thankfully, there's no VAR, so Richard Rios, who, of course, he did milk it a bit, did try to sell it, made a meal of the challenge. Richard Rios was down, was injured, was left a trailing leg by Richie Laryea, and Laryea should have been sent off if there was VAR. Thankfully, he wasn't, and he really worked his way into the game. That is why Richie Laryea, for me, is getting a 6.5. Just above average, very poor first half, but very strong second half. Was very intelligent, very smart, didn't dive in on too many occasions, which he's known for, and won the ball very well and had some good fouls that he won as well late in that game, just via body position to help Canada close out this match. Ali Ahmed, for me, is getting a 7 match rating. Nothing special, good in the press, tidy on the ball, but wasn't intricate enough in that final third, such as Ismail Kone. Ismail Kone, for me, had a pretty poor performance. It wasn't one of his best. He carried the ball very well at times, dribbled very well, looked to create in the final third. At times, tried to do too much. That first half from Ismail Kone was very sloppy. Lost possession a lot. Wasn't quick enough in possession as well, and was very slow. Yes, he got a bit better in the second half, but it wasn't the Ismail Kone we know and expect. And that is why it wasn't intricate enough in the final third, and why Canada lacked the chance creation. And you could even see earlier in the first half that Jesse Marsch signaled him and did the check your mirrors, check your shoulders, and go a bit faster. And Ismail Kone started to get a little bit better from there, but he's only going to get a 6 match rating from myself. Tajon Buchanan is going to get a 7 from me. Very quick, very exciting, very dynamic, and he is one of Canada's biggest outlets in the final third. But moving in to the heart of the midfield, Canada's captain in Stefan Eustaquio. What an incredible performance from Stefan Eustaquio. He is getting an 8 from me. My man of the match. Strong, solid. Showed why he is our captain. Showed why he needs to be starting for Canada every single game unless he's injured. Incredible performance. Very strong. Played the full 90. 45 from 56 accurate passes. 65 touches. 4 for 8 accurate long balls. But what's most important is his 10 recoveries, his 2 interceptions, his tidiness on the ball. as well as his ability to dictate, to slow down play, to win a challenge, to know when to foul an opposition's player, and that is why he has to start for this team. Brings the leadership, brings the knowledge, and brings the intelligence for this somewhat inexperienced Canadian men's national team. Moving on the front line, I'm giving them both a 6.5. And Tani Oluwase and Promise David, who didn't have a lot to work with. Jonathan David was quite sloppy today. He was a bit slow, didn't have a lot of opportunities, but when it came his way, his first touch was a bit sloppy. It wasn't the true Jonathan David we really know, and that will come with time. But this whole Canadian team wasn't intricate enough in the final third. They were a bit slow. Both Ismail Kone, Ali Ahmed, Tajon Buchanan, Tani Oluwase, Jonathan David, it wasn't there. It was a bit slow. It wasn't quick enough on the day. But the substitutes I thought were very good outside of Jacob Schaffelberg. Nothing against Jacob Schaffelberg, but he was too slow. At times losing possession, at times not playing the right pass. I really like what he can bring, barring the right game script, but this wasn't the right game script for him. He didn't work hard enough defensively. One of the major chances from Colombia came from a 2v1 intricate pass, intricate triangle in the corner with Zorhan Basong, I'm pretty sure it was late in the game, and Jacob Schaffelberg didn't help or didn't track his man, which led to a ball coming into the box and an opportunity for Colombia. I thought Jacob Schaffelberg could have done a lot better with his opportunity, but didn't seize the opportunity. Liam Miller I thought was fantastic when he came on the pitch, playing very well as Zorhan Basong, a very neat, a very tidy fullback, and Promise David and Tani Oluwase have to be the partners for Jonathan David. What Promise David can do late in the game can absolutely change the face of a football match. His ability to win things in the air. You can play it to him and he'll stick onto a football. He can head it in the air. He can control a football. Promise David is the whole package coming onto a pitch or starting a match. He's a great option to have on the bench or starting a game. Promise David did very well when he came on. But in a whole, Canada was very strong defensively. The press worked very well. The two-man midfield even worked to perfection. Yes, it might have been different if Colombia started James Rodriguez, Richard Rios, and Jefferson Lerma. But Canada played the opposition that was in front of them. And the two-man midfield, the pressing, the defensive system worked to a charm. The huge positives from this game. What didn't work was the intricate passing. The final third, it wasn't quick enough, it wasn't smooth enough, it wasn't tidy enough. Those were the positives, those were the negatives, and this was a very impressive performance from the Canadian men's national team. A 0-0 draw against Colombia is very respectable, very impressive, and I for one am very happy with the way Canada played and the way they conducted themselves throughout the 90 minutes. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, guys. Make sure to hit that like button, drop a sub. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I hope the Colombian supporters enjoyed the match. I hope you guys are back for the reaction. I hope you guys continue to support the Canamity as your second nation, as well as supporting the channel. I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.